This is the Pulse broadcast, and I am your host, William Crooks. Bill 8 has been described as draconian by the Eastern Townships School Board. Legislation tabled at the National Assembly on June 4th that would extend Bill 101's French language requirements to adult education and vocational training across Quebec. The numbers coming out of the region are stark. At the Lennoxville Vocational Training Centre alone, the director says she could lose up to 85% of her students and as much as 95% in healthcare programs, the very pipeline that feeds nurses and caregivers into local hospitals and residences. But this isn't a story about closing. Diane Lavers, director of LVTC, sat down with the Pulse this week to talk about what Bill 8 means for her students, her staff, and a model of bilingual vocational training she says is already deeply woven into the regional economy. And to make clear that however this plays out, her center isn't going anywhere without a fight. Here's that conversation. Okay, so basically I'm following up on the relatively worrying to local townshippers press release that the ETSB put out a couple days ago about Bill 8. Mm-hmm. What was your initial reaction to that news? I guess you've known for a while before the press release what the possible consequences would be. Tell me about that.
Well, the government has been talking about it since Madame Fichette has been in office.
Okay.
It's nothing that comes as a surprise. We were just surprised that the project was actually deposited in such a short time before the end of the Parliament. So we did, I'm going to talk for me as the director at LVTC.
Yes.
I know my clientele. I know who is in my school. I know the profiles of the students that are here. One of Eastern Townships School Board's values and orientations is to give a student the possibility to learn in a bilingual environment.
Right.
Because we are in the Eastern Townships. At LVTC, we have the health programs for our future licensed practical nurses and our future caregivers. Where do they go work? At this youth? 90% of my students go work at this youth. 90% of the stages are done at this youth in a very French environment. So we prepare our students because of our mandate of social vocational integration. We want them to be prepared for the workforce. We know that we're in the middle of a very French environment employment region.
Right.
We prepare them, and this is not from yesterday. This has been, I've been in my position for I'm going on my 5th year. We've been preparing our students that speak English with French courses, French communication, understanding courses, and our French students that want to come and study in our English environment. We support them in the acquisition of the language throughout them learning the trades so that they're able to give services to our English population as well. And it doesn't limit our French students to go work in the English environment, and it doesn't limit our English students to go work in a French environment. Now, when the bill was deposited last week, I think it was Thursday, when the project of the bill was deposited, I already had an idea of my clientele, but it came as like I'm going to use a French word here, claque d'en face, no?
Right.
I'm going to say a wake-up call.
Right.
It came as a wake-up call. Okay, what exactly are the numbers? So I put my admissions coordinator on the project, Annick, and what would happen if the bill would pass? Well, I would lose 85% of my students because this bill would apply to all of the students that come from immigration.
Right.
Many international students, it's easier for them to learn the trade in English develop their French during the training,
Right.
go into stages in a French environment, and then continue to develop their French as they are in the workplace.
Right.
But if the bill does pass, these international students won't have the possibility to come and do their vocational education and their adult general education either to get their because there's the adult general education where we collaborate with them to support our students in getting the prereqs to do a trade. It's a vocational trade. We work with adult general education for their social vocational integration as well to support the perseverance and the employability of our students after they graduate. So all of this would be taken away from these candidates that wouldn't have the possibility to come and study in our English environment. So what it clearly represents for my whole school is I would lose 85% of my students, and if I take only in the health sector, I would lose 95% of my students.
Wow.
And these 95% of students, I have more than 100 students that are studying actually in the healthcare domain, either to become caregivers or licensed practical nurses, that do contribute to the employment of the region. They're all hired by the CIUS when they come out of school. If they're not hired by the CIUS, they're hired by private residences. They're hired at Grace, at Wells, at Wales Homes.
Right.
They find employment and they contribute to our economy in the region.
Right.
So the students are preoccupied. My teachers are preoccupied. My whole staff is preoccupied, and we're trying to keep calm with this. And even if they say, "Oh, it's going to only take effect in 2028," well, that's like for us, 2028 is like next week.
Right.
Because when you start a program, you want them to finish, and they put this information where it's going to be implemented just in July of 2028. But what are the other conditions that are going to be there? When are they going to stop us? When are they going to start imposing the eligibility process? Because if they let us go until 2028, admitting students that aren't eligible for the English education in Quebec, well, that brings them to 2030 when they finish their program of studies.
Right.
So it's all of the conditions that surround what's falling after the bill, if it is approved, if it is put into effect. But right now, it's going to have a major impact on our economy, and not just our students. I'm going to give you an example. For welding, we have the welding program. We work with Bercor. We spend hundreds, let's say dozens of thousands of dollars,
right,
into local economy for gas, for metal, for all of the consumables that we use to train our students.
Right.
So there's the impact on all of the industry that we work with as well. So there's a multitude of underlined, how would I say it? There's a multitude of consequences that haven't even been brought to the surface when we talk about the eligibility to receive education in English. And the consequence, and I'm going to just talk for the Eastern Townships, and I'm going to talk for LVTC here in Lennoxville, Sherbrooke environment. It's just think that the CIUS is going to not get 100 caregivers LPN over the next 2 years.
Right.
That's going to have an impact on our society. it can create un bris de service in the health sector. So, and our students, what's going to happen to our immigrant students? I have a secretary here that did her secretarial program here at Lennoxville, and she is an international student. And she said, what would have happened to me if I would have came to Quebec, that I would have had to learn French during 2 years to be able to then learn the trade?
Right.
What impact is that? Now what happened is that she came to Quebec in the Sherbrooke area. She registered at LVTC because for her it wasn't her second language. It was her third language, English.
Right.
She did her program, secretarial and accounting program in English. Throughout that program, she developed her French skills, communication, comprehension competencies. And now she's perfectly bilingual, and she's working as my secretary at the center.
Right.
So it's all of these little things that unfortunately have not necessarily been brought to light when this has been announced. And unfortunately, the common person that does not know because I'm going to use the word unfortunately again. You don't have to quote me on that one, but it's the sad thing is that there's a lot of people in our community in the Eastern Townships that don't even know that there is vocational education in English, that they don't even know that LVTC exists.
Right.
So it doesn't really hit them in a way that it should, because they're not aware of everything that we do for the society and the community.
Right. Right.
So,
Just to clarify, would LVTC close or would it go full French? Like, what exactly are the consequences?
I have no idea.
Oh.
No idea, because what I know is that if this bill passes, I have 85% of my students that wouldn't have been able to do their programs. So
right.
I wouldn't be able. It would the programs, the offer of the programs in vocational education wouldn't be sustainable for us to be able to pay a teacher for the numbers of students that are actually eligible for
right.
education.
Okay.
We even have young students that are in the concomitance program, where they're doing 2 days of academics, math, English, French, and Sec 4 and 5, and they're doing their vocational training 3 days a week. So I have 3 students in the welding program that are they're 16 years old. They're from the French sector. They do Mondays and Tuesdays, their French, math, and English at La Ruche and Magog. And the Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, they come here to LVTC to do their welding program, because we do it in an individualized way.
Right.
And they can go faster within their program. And the flexibility was because we have a lot of flexibility in the English sector. So they decided to come and do their program in English. And they're developing their English skills, so they become perfectly bilingual, but they come from the French sector. So those 3 students I wouldn't even have had here.
Right.
So what would happen? It all depends on what, as I said, we know what the bill is, but we don't know how it's going to be applied.
Okay.
Because ultimately, the Ministry for the Offensive Construction invested in LVTC's establishment here. Notre bâtisse, là,
Yeah.
invested, I think it was 1.5 million for an addition to receive plumbing and heating. We're in collaboration with the Femme 24 Juin, so we have French groups, we have English groups here, and I don't know what would happen. Would it be a mix of bilingual students, the ones that are eligible, they're going to be doing it in English, but that means that we need all bilingual teachers. So everything that surrounds the application, the on the ground application of what this bill will the ripple effect of this bill on the ground, we have no idea what's going to come out of it.
Right. Wow. Now, what, I mean, is there, I know maybe you don't want to speculate, you don't know what the bill is going to do exactly. I mean, what, if anything, could you do in the future? I mean, is there, I guess that has to wait to see what the consequences are?
We have to wait to see the modalities of the application of the bill.
Okay.
I can't even plan. I can't even say, okay, I would do this, that. I can't even say what I'm going to do because
right.
we don't have the modalities of, okay, so this is the bill, this is what's going to happen, but we don't know how it's going to fall.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Wow, that's incredible.
What we do know, and you know, I am my mother tongue is English. I was raised in Scottstown in a very English environment. By choice, my parents sent me to a French school. I was scolarized in French, but I consider myself as a Quebec bilingual speaking person.
Right.
I don't identify as an English person. I don't identify as a French person. But personally, being the director of an English vocational education center within a school board, that one of the orientations is learning in a bilingual environment. I personally feel that it comes directly in conflict with my professional and personal values.
Okay. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Right.
And I'm French. I'm English.
Right. Right.
I speak Anglais all day long here.
Right. Okay. And then, well, maybe you don't want to speculate, but I mean, well, let's put it this way. How many teachers does LVTC employ?
We have more than 45 teachers.
Right. Right. So
that's not teachers, secretaries, pedagogical consultants, administrators, support staff, janitors, the storekeepers. All of these people are linked to my center, LVTC.
Right.
If we don't have the students to cover the costs of this, of the roulement of my center, the only thing I can speculate is there's going to be a ton load of teachers that are going to be, and I do have teachers that are perfectly bilingual that could pick up in a French environment, but I do have teachers that are bilingual but couldn't necessarily teach their trade because of the technical difficulties of the language.
Right.
In French.
Okay.
Yep.
If LVTC were to close, that would mean there's no place to learn the trades in English in the townships, right? Because presumably it would be, maybe you can't speak for this, it'd be the same for CBM.
Well, because CBM doesn't have the same demographics as...
Right, that's right. Yeah, I noticed that in the percentages. Yeah.
Yep. It doesn't have the same demographics, but I'm going to say, as a center director, I'm very creative, and LVTC is not about to close.
Okay.
So we're going to find a solution. Now, because even when some of our programs suffer a bit, well, what do? I open a satellite school in Richmond. I open a satellite school in Granby for our health program.
Right.
We offer carpentry in Waterloo to go and get more students there. So we have to become creative to go where our population junta.
Right.
So I don't believe I'm not even thinking that LVTC is going to close. However, if it does pass, there will be a ton load of adjustments, and there will be, I can't even foresee how le ministre du Travail I can't foresee how the government can support so many layoffs if this does go through. And this is not just in the townships. I'm talking about the whole Quebec system.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I've kept you almost 20 minutes.
That's okay. I'm the one that went on blabbing.
It's okay.
I'm very passionate about
Yes, for sure. Well, it's a really important story, yeah.
That was Diane Lavers, director of the Lennoxville Vocational Training Centre, on what Bill 8 could mean for vocational training in the Eastern Townships, and why, despite the uncertainty, she's not ready to write the centre off. Bill 8 remains before the National Assembly. If you want to read more on this story, including the full breakdown from the Eastern Townships School Board, head to pulsetownships.com. And if you found this conversation useful, share it with someone who needs to hear it. That's it for this episode of the Pulse broadcast. Thanks for listening, and always remember, keep that finger on the pulse.
The Pulse. The Pulse. Townships interviews. Don't forget breaking news. The Pulse, the Pulse, the Pulse. Broadcast just for you. Are you heading out for a cruise? Or lying there for a snooze? The Pulse, the Pulse, the Pulse, broadcast just for you. Hey, I know that guy. Hey, hey, I know that gal too. Hey. The Pulse, the Pulse, the Pulse, broadcast just for you. The townships are the muse. Make sure to choose the Pulse, 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 the Pulse of the Eastern Townships broadcast just for you.